Greetings, Aimless Adventure Crew. I'm Murph, and welcome to another episode of Murph's Vault. When I first started doing these episodes, it was kind of like for fun, not really serious, and I thought I would do episodes about the things I really like to collect, mainly vintage toys, airsoft guns, and role-playing / tabletop war games. Um, and I could give you a little 10-minute quick video about them, maybe share some memories of yesteryear, that sort of thing. Lately, I've been doing a lot of toy reviews here at the beginning. It's just the way it worked out. I do want to start doing a little more game reviews. There's a ton of them I want to talk about. But before I do that, there's one toy that's very special to me that I wanted to talk about. Probably one of the most special ones I have in this entire room in my vault. um, Today is Monday, September 28th, 2015. Tomorrow will be September 29th, 2015. Tomorrow is my dad's birthday. Or would be my dad's birthday, but he passed away this last June in 2015. He passed away at the age of 80. He would have been 81 tomorrow. So he lived a full life. Had two sons. The youngest, a little nerdy, liked to collect toys. No, that's me. But anyway, this last June, he passed away right in the middle as me and my wife were preparing for a cross-country move to Pennsylvania, from Arizona to Pennsylvania. So when that happened, we, caught us somewhat by surprise. Immediately turned around, headed to the West Coast. While we were back home there, going through the funeral and all that whole process, once it was done, we were getting ready to leave. It was still too early for my mom. She was still grieving over the loss of her husband. But before I left, there was something she asked if I wanted to have. And, I didn't want to take advantage of anything. I was like, nah, don't worry about it. Well, she wanted to give me something before I left. And what she wanted to give me, and she let me have, was this, my dad's old train set. I remember as a kid visiting my dad's brother, my uncle, and my uncle giving this to my dad in a box that he had kept in his garage all these years. And it was a toy train set that my dad played with when he was a little kid. My dad didn't think, thought it got lost, thrown away, whatever over the years, and my uncle had actually kept it for all those decades for my dad. And, gave it to my dad later when he was an adult. My dad put it in a box, and I don't know if he ever looked at it ever again. But once again, this was my dad's old train set. I did a little research, and on the side here is Hafner and 1010. I'll get to this little piece in a second. That's one of the cool things. But Hafner, this was made by Hafner Manufacturing Company, which was founded by a gentleman named William Hafner in 1914. He founded this company in 1914 right after he left Radio Flyer. Yes, Hafner was one of the original founders of Radio Flyer. I'm sure you all have heard of that classic company. The reasons why he left Radio Flyer are kind of lost in the mists of time. There's a few theories out there, but he left Radio Flyer and founded Hafner Manufacturing, which specialized in making O-scale clockwork trains. Yes, clockwork trains. And they manufactured clockwork trains from 1914 until 1951. After 1951 to 56, company wasn't doing so well and went into liquidation. So they were only around for a little bit. But yes, toy trains were not always electric that we're used to today, or would be powered by you pushing them around the track. Before electric trains, the technology was invented, and then before it became actually affordable for people, a lot of trains were powered by a clockwork mechanism that you wound up. And that's what this was. And the way this worked was, here was the little winding mechanism. You actually turned it clockwise, if you're looking at it. I won't do it all the way. And then there was this little metal pin here. You push that down, and it made the wheels turn as it unwound. Raise this little pin back up, and it stopped. Imagine after all these years, it still works. This particular model of train, like I said, had the number 1010 here. It was the 1010 engine. And the reason it was called 1010, the way they came up with that number, that was actually the address of Hafner Manufacturing Company. I read up on that as well. There was a web page that gave a little, a history of Hafner Manufacturing. And so this train was named after the address where the company was. Um, yeah, so it was a tin body here, the little clockwork mechanism inside, and that's basically it. Very simple, heavy, you know. I'm just surprised it still works after all these years when it's never been used or played with. Um, Considering my dad, he was born in 1934. His parents would have probably have bought this for him maybe when he was 6 years old, maybe around 1940 or 41. Um, so we're looking at World War II era, was when my dad probably got this. Now, these trains, these clockwork type of trains, I also read were also very popular during the Depression era and Depression era to World War II. Yes, Lionel trains was around at that time, but they were very expensive. They were a major investment. And during the Depression era, not a lot of people had a lot of money, especially to spend on frivolous things like a toy electric train set. These clockwork trains could be purchased for much, much, much cheaper. And that's how they proved popular up until, like I said, Hafner trains went out of business in 1951. And I'm sure in the 50s, late 40s to 50s, after the post-war era, electric trains became a lot cheaper and they were much more affordable. But this harkens back to a really early time in toy history. Now, this train set that my dad played with not only came with man, not only came with an engine like this, it came with some other pieces as well. I'll show them here too. This train set came with like a oil fuel car, so you just hook up. All these, and this says on the bottom here, made by Hafner, Chicago, USA. Hafner is in HAFNER. Now these cars are basically hollow tin shells with a couple wheels on here and a couple hooks on the end. That's it. Very simple. Came with what I think it was supposed to be the coal tender. It says right there, 1010 on the side. So I believe this went right behind the engine. Came with what it called the caboose, which is, yeah, this is the caboose. There's a little raised end here. Pretty cool. Then it came with one other car that I really need to find a part for. It's missing one set of wheels, but it was the gravel car. And that was the train set. Then it came with the track. This train set came with a circle track, really tin metal track. Had a couple, looks like nails at the end, which then slid into the grooves here. That's how you put your track together. So on. Had these little metal feet here to give it kind of like a raised thing. So, and that's it. Now, just like model trains today, back then you could get cars individually as well. I think they cost like, I don't know, 50 cents a piece or a quarter a piece or whatnot, maybe as much as $1. I don't know. But they weren't very expensive. And in this box that my dad had of his train set was a few cars that weren't made by Hafner. And I still have to do the research on who they were made by, in addition to some straight track that wasn't made by Hafner either. But the three cars he had, there was a Santa Fe, says Middle States Oil, like an oil tanker truck here. And then he had this black New York Central, I'm going to call it a boxcar thing. Once again, these are still hollow tin bodies. These actually have a metal floor on the bottom, unlike the Hafner, which really might just had a little piece and that's it. And then we have the New York Central caboose. So there's some rust here and all that. You can tell these have been well loved and played with over the years. Now, it wasn't just the track and cars that my dad's Hafner train set came with. There was also some other accessories too. We have here a tin train station with a flag that's definitely seen better days. But yeah, tin train set that you can put down next to the track. It came with a crossing guard for the train. Metal base with a metal crossing guard, and you would put this down. This little pin came down to hold it up, and there was your crossing guard. So if you had any type of toy trucks that you wanted to have cross the track, you'd put this down to have them stop so the train could go by. So kind of cool. There was another like train flagpole here that you could raise up that had a flag that's seen better days, and you could put that out. And then there was a railroad crossing sign that said "Look out for engine danger." Okay, kind of railroad got some railroad warning signs. Um, yeah, and that was the train set. Now the original box is long gone, but it's still kind of cool to have this train set. Um, don't know how much it's worth, and I don't really care because it's priceless to me. One of these days, I hope to restore it. There is quite a bit of rust on some of the pieces, and I hope to get the rust off. I'm not looking to repaint it or get rid of any of that, but I do want to remove the rust. Um, it's really surprising that the train mechanism still works. Um, it's really a testament to how well made some of these toys were back decades and decades ago. Um, I wonder if your PS1 will last that long 70 years later since it was made. Who knows? I know my original Xbox didn't last that long. So anyway, that's my special. Like I said, it's probably one of the most special toys I have here in my collection. If I ever get around to restoring it, I will show you pictures of what it looks like restored. But anyway, that's it for the latest episode of Murph's Vault. Join me again next week when I'll have another video of something from my collection. Thank you very much for joining me. Now I return you to your aimless adventure. Later.